It's right now.
And get it right.
Yeah. Get it absolutely right. So to kind of recap here, the last 24 hours regarding these rumors surrounding the Rochester Knighthawks. You and I grazed it yesterday, but we didn't really have a credible report until last night.
Tim
Graham, the Athletic, our friend, who said, and the rumor yesterday was, hey, everything but the Bills are for sale. Like, whoa, come on, really? Well, you're doing the meme there with the lady and tastings. My point is, Tim Graham said the only thing that would be for sale are the Knighthawks because essentially Terry Pegula owns two teams. Doesn't make much sense. That was the reason. Didn't say anything about it not making money. Didn't say, well, you look at all these rumors online. I see the Knighthawks are going to Grand Rapids, Michigan. I see the Knighthawks are going to St. Louis. You read that one? The Knighthawks have just put out a statement.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so I'm going to read it to you, what they're saying, because it got me concerned. Like reaching out, like where are things here? Statement from the Knighthawks. The recent rumors and speculation about the Rochester Knighthawks relocation are not true. The team is focused on the remaining games this weekend and looking to finish the regular season strong. Season tickets for next season are now on sale. And for more information on tickets, please reach out to the Knighthawks front office.
Awesome. Great news.
Great news.
Great news. I don't know that I entirely believe, like when you hear the report, I feel like you could issue that report once a year. It could become evergreen, where once a year you have the report of the Pegulas are looking to spin something. And there's a part of me that would believe it.
Mm-hmm.
We have an emotional connection to our teams. The billionaire owners of these teams, they have a connection, but it's a business connection. And if they're in this to make money, they will do what is best for the business before they worry about their emotions, and certainly your emotions or my emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you hear the rumors, it is jarring, and it's hard to push back. Let's look at the Sabres as the example, right? When you see the way the organization is run and somebody says, well, that looks like an organization that's up for sale, it's hard to fight that. It's hard to argue that other than to say, well, Terry Pegula would never.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can't say he would never. You don't know that he would never because he's a billionaire owner businessman who's going to first and foremost do what's right for his business. And so that's why when you hear a report like they're listening to offers for the Knighthawks, if I hear that, I think to myself, well, yeah, they probably are always listening to offers for all of their teams, but they're not going to sell them unless it makes sense from a business standpoint. Is that fair? I would say
no. I'm gonna push that back on a little bit. In business, yes.
Yes.
In business, yes. You cannot get involved in minor league sport. You're a caretaker for minor league sports. If you get into this thinking, I'm going to make money, you're going to lose, okay? See the Dworkins with the Rhinos. See what happened to the Rochester Raiders, the Razor Sharks, all these teams that gone by the wayside. Those are owners who came in with good intentions that wanted to run this like their other businesses and realized, I'm losing money, time to tap out. And certainly there were other factors, and I don't want to go down that path. But the point being that Terry Pegula, when he purchased the team, we went back today and listened to that introductory press conference. Why is that? Because we don't have a lot to go off of when it comes to Terry Pegula speaking in public. But he did. The date was September 13, 2018. The Pegulas introduced right on the banks there of the Genesee in downtown Rochester. Spectacular day in the month of September, announcing the new owners of the expansion franchise, Terry and Kim Pegula. This was Terry Pegula back September 13, 2018.
It will have the Knighthawks legacy, and we're very proud to contribute again to the Western New York and the Rochester community by keeping the team here.
And we haven't heard from him since.
Contribute. I want to say there was one quote with a reporter and was looking for that he called it a donation at some point. To me, when he came out with that, I am running this arena. I want to keep the Nighthawks here. Kim is involved in this. So lots of things we can discuss what has changed since then. One, well, they realize running the arena is not good for making money. That if it was, they'd be wanting to bid on that once again. So the RFP went out for the Nighthawk, for the Pagula. Amherst and Nighthawks are not going to run the arena.
It's not cheap to run the arena. Running the arena on a game day, running the arena when you're hosting an event, and I know this firsthand. We've done shows at Blue Cross Arena in the past with 98 PXY, the other job that I have here with Odyssey, and it isn't cheap. It isn't cheap to host an event. It isn't cheap to host a concert. It isn't cheap to host a game. So just to turn on the lights in that arena can be a losing proposition from a financial standpoint. So I get them wanting to get out of the arena portion of it, to get out of the Nighthawks portion of it as well. If the argument was, well, he already owns the Bandits, why would you have both? I would listen to that too, because I remember thinking when he bought the team, I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, I would think that if there was somebody from our town that would say, hey, I would love to purchase the Nighthawks, I would think you would have an audience.
Well, that was the point I was trying to make before, is that if I'm Terry Pagula and there are rumors out there that you're selling this team, maybe those rumors aren't true, but maybe what is true is that if somebody were to knock on his door and say, hey, what would it take? I think he would listen to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I'm not here to steer in the wrong direction. I'm here to kind of calm everybody down a little bit.
Yeah, well, that statement is going to calm everybody down.
It is. Like, and I would tell you this too. It's not good for business for your other properties. Like, oh, yeah, that guy. Like, I like that team, and now they're playing in St. Louis or wherever it would be. There's also this, and I think we should kind of acknowledge this too. And I feel like we're always kind of having this uphill battle in our town, the small market. I mean, it's. We have this appetite for something major league. And lacrosse, hey, this is the top level. But then even at the top level, Danger, you have executives that sometimes, the quote from the Cincinnati Reds president, do you remember that?
Oh, of course.
This was opening day a few years ago when the Reds were putting out a crap product. And you know what the owner did? Or, well, the team president was the son of the owner. Turned it around on the fans.
I have it. Hang on a second here. This was a Take of the Year nominee. Was it last year that it was a Take of the Year nominee? It was, wasn't it? Hang on. All right, Gino, give me a second. I'll find it.
Okay,
I know.
We can get back to this.
Here it is. I have it.
Okay. Why should that fan maintain trust in you?
Well, where are you going to go? Let's start there. I mean, sell the team to who? I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, you want to have this debate. You know, if you want to look at what would you do with this team to have it be more profitable, make more money, compete more in the current economic system that this game exists, it would be to pick it up and move it somewhere else. Yeah. And so be careful what you ask for. You know, I think we're doing the best we can do with the resources that we have.
Now, that's a harsh statement.
Happy opening day,
Yeah,
everyone.
that's a harsh statement on opening day, but I do think it's a glimpse into how owners view these properties. The fans want winners. We want to go out there and be proud, and we want to be excited, and we want to see a championship banner hang. We want winners. And these guys are just saying, yeah, that would be great, but in the landscape that we're in, we're just trying to make money. So if we really wanted to make money, what we would do is we would move. We would go somewhere else.
Well, what is fascinating here is, like, this question has been posed to us. Do the Pagulas have a cash problem? We have breaking news here at Danger.
More breaking news in the sports bar? Gene, I can't keep up with all the breaking.
Ow! It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
Thanks to our friend Mike in Sodas Bay for pointing this out. Tim Graham of The Athletic, again, at the forefront. He's reporting that 25% of the Buffalo Bills are for sale. Team confirms it has hired an investment banker firm to handle the potential transaction. Graham adding 25 is a working number, 25%. Let's just call it a chunk.
Okay.
This is common. Like, how many minority owners did Daniel Snyder have? How many do they have down in Miami?
The Dodgers.
Yeah. So this seems Danger, you want to put in a bid here, bud? Like, what could we like literally afford? Like 1/10 of 1/10 of 1/10 of 1/10. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Tim Graham doing a little digging. I like it.
But why? So that's what I would ask the question. That say it's 25%. 25% today isn't going to equal 25% 10 years from now in this league. Danger, if we had the opportunity to buy in on any team, I'm buying in. Hi, let me in. Again, why? Why? What's going on here with all these moving pieces?
Well, I think there are a lot of like breadcrumbs here to follow. The latest being we want to get out of the arena in Rochester. The rumors that are out there. I would imagine that the lifestyle of the Pegulas has been altered drastically just in their personal lives. I would imagine that the expense of the Pegulas, the expense of just living, has changed drastically since Kim fell ill. I don't know, I don't want to even pretend to imagine what the medical costs are for her care or have been for her care. But maybe that has something to do with it.
Well, up to you if you want to hit the breaking news on this now. The Bills have put out a statement. What is going on here today?
Okay.
Yeah. The Pegula family has retained Allen and Company to explore the potential sale of a non-controlling minority interest in the Bills. These discussions only involve the Bills and no other team. That's important to note. No investment would be possible without Terry Pegula and the Pegula family maintaining a controlling interest in the team. Their continued commitment to Western New York, the new Highmark Stadium, our fans, and the other teams in their portfolio remains unchanged. Neither the team nor the Pegula family are able to comment further at this point.
Okay. Make a little money. I mean, sell a chunk of the team, make a little money.
25%. See, that's why the Nighthawk thing. Like, what do National Lacrosse League teams go for? What, like 20, 30 million? I'd have to look that up. Like, what an expansion fee for a national. Like, this would be a lot more money. Mm-hmm. So, why take the terrible PR hit in Ms. Pegula's hometown?
By selling the Nighthawks.
Accident. Yeah, they've never made sense.
All right, so it's not the Nighthawks, but it is a chunk of the Buffalo Bills. Good to know.
Thank you, Tim. Well, Tim puts this out, and then all of a sudden the Bills had their statement ready. That's what I'm wondering. Like, would that statement have gone out had not Tim Graham actually put that out? And would we have learned that the Nighthawks weren't on the block had I not picked up? Hey, we want to know over here. Hey. Well, thank you to the representatives for the Nighthawks for getting back to us and letting everybody calm down here.
Yeah, and that was the one part of it that was fishy. Like, why would they be on sale? Their season tickets are on sale already for next season. If the team is for sale, I don't know that you would have season tickets going up for next year. I mean, again, I think that if there was somebody who had deep enough pockets and an interest and wanted to say, hey, I'm Rochester proud, and I've got a few million laying around, and I would like to keep Rochester's lacrosse team here because I like lacrosse. Mr. Pegula, would you listen to my offer? I think he would listen to that offer.
Yeah. Danger, I put this tweet out first thing this morning, okay? And follow me on this. My opinion regarding the Nighthawks speculation, Terry Pegula certainly can sell the team if he wishes, but sports teams are a public trust. If this is true, every opportunity must be afforded for a local buyer or one that is committed to keep the team in Rochester. The community support here has been good. It has been improving. We do not deserve to lose this team. Okay, that's very basic stuff. And then you get, like, you put up posts, okay, few people like it, few people retweet it, and I'm always curious, okay, who's retweeting it? Oh, Zig Fracasse's retweeting it. There's a Nighthawk employee who retweeted that.
Oh.
And look, not every employee is privy to everything that's going on. We've all worked in the workplace where, hey, there's a merger going on or there's rumored layoffs and everything else.
I don't know what you're talking about. Nothing like that ever happens here.
Nothing. No.
Not in our industry.
No.
Nope. Never happens.
No. So for everybody in that Nighthawk front office and employees, and for that matter, everybody working at the arena that's got to get a little extra money.
Hey, that statement
yeah.
that statement has to be, the statement from the team has to be a little bit comforting. You don't want to see anybody lose their jobs, and we certainly don't want to see us as a community lose another team.
Yeah, and I'm not blowing smoke. I have been to Nighthawk games. I think it's worthy. Is it my favorite sport? No, but it's a good time to go downtown. And I think our city can certainly support the Amherst and the Nighthawks. By the way, the Amherst, they're over $9,000 tonight for their game downtown.
Oh, wow.
Cleveland. Yeah. Yeah, this is...
It's playoff hockey now.
Yeah, it is. And it's a Friday night. And, we are a team a city that will support winners and those teams we love, the Amherst, the Red Wings. And you're seeing things come back around for the Nighthawks here.
I agree. And that statement from the Nighthawks, great news. The statement from the Buffalo Bills, a little perk of the ear there. Oh, really? Okay. I don't know what the Pagulas do or how they spend or how their bottom line, but I'll just speak firsthand. When my mother fell ill in a similar way that Kim fell ill, it was a drain financially. It forced us to make different sacrifices in our family that none of us wanted to have to make. It forced us to move. It forced us to sell our house. It forced us to do a lot of things that are uncomfortable that you don't really want to do. My guess is they don't really want to put a chunk of the Bills for sale, but there's probably a factor in there somewhere in their lifestyle and the way that they live that is prompting them, or they've got to offset the losses from something else in their portfolio of, Sabres season wasn't a good season. How'd they do? Did they come out on top financially? Is that a profitable venture for them here over the course of the last few years?
You have rumors all the time about the Sabres being sold. And some of that is just basically with a low payroll and the performance on the ice, and it leads you to kind of wonder. So I'm happy
and lots of empty seats.
Yeah.
Lots of empty seats. I mean, not a lot of sellouts.
Yeah, and you don't own your own TV network. You're using think about that. You're using the Rangers TV network to broadcast your games. Mm-hmm. It's not a great model.
We've got we got off to a hot start here at the sports bar.
We wanted to get it out there.
Yeah,
right
no, that's good. And let's set the table quickly here because we've got a great show lined up for you this afternoon. And good bit of news there, Gino. Thanks for sharing that right off the top here so we can kind of rest easy here about the Rochester Nighthawks, at least for next season. 866-4326 is our phone number, 585-866-4FAN. Joining us later this afternoon, Rochester native, voice of the now defunct Phoenix Coyotes, Todd Walsh, who was spectacular in his final broadcast with the Coyotes earlier this week. And we wanted to get him on to talk a little bit, not just about his connection to Rochester. He mentioned Rochester in his final broadcast, but just to talk about everything that has gone on there with this organization over the last few months.
Yeah, I consider Todd a friend of the show. I think he's all class. He's out of work now. That's the part of this. I'm sure that maybe some of those employees might be afforded an opportunity to move to Salt Lake City, but that's a tough ask. And for Todd Walsh, maybe they get the Coyotes back at some point. So what is that? So we're checking in on a friend here. And I put it out last night. You saw it, Too Danger, that 5-minute sign off for the Arizona Coyotes. Spectacular.
And I will say this, it's not about goals and moments and memories that are about what I saw. What I have learned along the way in the last 3 decades, that hockey is about people. And they are amongst the best people in the world. Personally speaking, in 2000, when my father died, I couldn't afford a trip to New York the next morning after he passed on a Sunday, but it was my broadcast partner, Tom Curvers, who showed up at the airport and handed me 50,000 flight miles and said, go home. 15 years later, when my mom died in Rochester, New York, I went back to collect all of her belongings. And I got a text. I was all alone in that house. You can imagine that feeling. You may have lived it. Teppo Newman texted me. He was a member of the Buffalo Sabres, and he said, I just got on the New York State Thruway. We're having breakfast in Rochester. I don't want you to be alone. That's what hockey is all about.
All class. Guys, all class. Can't wait to talk to him. We haven't. It's been way too long since we've talked to Todd Walsh, the voice of the Arizona Coyotes. We will check in with him here at 4:25. Joining us next in the sports bar, BuffaloBills.com. You hear her on One Bills Live. Maddie Glab doing great work here pre-draft for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, her mock draft watch 9.0. Let me try that again. Her mock draft 9.0.
9 times.
She does all the dirty work, goes through all the mock drafts and kind of comes up with a consensus. And you can imagine that consensus has a lot of wide receivers going to Buffalo. So we'll talk to Maddie about the possibilities for the Bills at pick 28 and what that means. Do they move up from 28? Do they move down from 28? Or do they just sit right there? Maddie Glab, BuffaloBills.com.
I'm talking about the NFL draft now less than a week away. Thursday, we will be live. Three Heads Brewing on Atlantic Avenue from 3 until 6. Look forward to seeing our regulars out there as we talk plenty of NFL draft for day one of the draft and then follow it up on Friday from 3 until 6. At the Tap Room at Bill Gray's in Chili Ave. Bill Gray's Tap Room, Chili location, Friday. Great prizes. Three Heads for day one. Thursday, you know what that's all about. So we'll be looking forward to seeing you for the NFL Draft, rounds 1 and rounds 2 next Thursday and Friday.
We can share a cold one and maybe a win or two.
That'll be our NFL Draft specials from Three Heads and the Tap Room at Bill Gray's. Maddie Glab joining us next to talk more Bills Draft. Next in the sports bar, Danger and Battaglia on the Fan.
You're listening to They've raised the bar on Rochester sports talk. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
You can see Maddie's work at BuffaloBills.com. You can hear Maddie on One Bills Live here on The Fan Rochester. We are always excited to welcome in Maddie Glab, who has been doing her mock draft tracker. I want to say version 9.0 has recently released. Maddie, what are your findings showing you here? We know wide receiver is a need. Which wide receiver is showing up in these mocks more than any other?
Yeah, at this point, guys, I've tracked 129 mock drafts. I'm going to track through next week, so I'd expect that number would be in the 150s by the time we're done with it. And of those 129, wide receiver has been mocked to the Bills 99 times, which means that's 77% of the mock drafts that I've tracked. A wide receiver is heading to Buffalo, whether it's the 28th pick or whether it's the Bills moving up in the draft to go get a wide receiver. What I've seen lately, a little bit more of lately since the Stephon Diggs trade, is that mock drafts have Buffalo moving up to go get a wide receiver, and that wide receiver has been Brian Thomas Jr. as of late, as people begin to talk about, and have been for a while really, talk about the skill set that he possesses and him really being the wide receiver 4 on a lot of draft boards. He may be going off the boards in the teams, and if a team really needs a wide receiver and wants somebody who they believe can be a proven threat at the next level, maybe you move up and go get that guy. That's what we've been seeing in mock drafts lately. The highest that I've seen Buffalo move up in a mock draft to go get a wide receiver is Chris Trapasso's mock draft from CBS Sports. He had the Bills moving up to number 8 to go get Malik Neighbors.
Wow, Malik Neighbors at 8 would be great. In your work there, Brian Thomas, a lot of these are saying, hey, you're going to have to move up to get him. Some are saying that he would fall to 28. Maddie, would you actually see, or what would be the percent chance you would think that would be a home run if Brian Thomas Jr. would actually fall to 28?
I know it truly would be a home run, but as I look at these mock drafts and as I continue to track them, the likelihood of that happening, I think, just gets slimmer and slimmer. Now, if somebody like Brian Thomas Jr. gets pushed down to the Bills, it might be because of the offensive tackles that we see come off the board in the first 20 picks. I was speaking with Cynthia Freeland from NFL Network yesterday as I was getting ready for a piece that we're writing next week, and she said, I could see 8 offensive tackles being taken in the first round. That would break a record. The record that was set before was 7 offensive tackles. So if we see 8 go in the first round, maybe that means a wide receiver like Brian Thomas Jr. would be available for Buffalo at number 28. But as we sit right now, I think it's unlikely that he'd be available for Buffalo that late in the draft.
Maddie Glab, BuffaloBills.com, One Bills Live, stopping by the sports bar to talk some Buffalo Bills draft here on the Fan Rochester. What about a guy that we know Brandon Beane and company spoke with in Indianapolis at the Combine, Maddie? Tell us what you're seeing when you're looking over these mock drafts for A.D. Mitchell out of Texas.
Yeah, I really like what I see out of A.D. Mitchell. He's actually the second favorite being mocked to Buffalo. So out of the 129, Brian Thomas Jr. has been mocked to the Bills 33 times. A.D. Mitchell has been mocked to the Bills 32 times. So they're neck and neck in terms of what people think could fit in Buffalo and what might be available for the Bills at 28. He's 6'2", 205. He was the Big 12 Offensive Newcomer of the Year in 2023. The way that he moves stands out on tape. He's a fluid receiver with light feet, which can be seen at the top of his routes. He ran a 4.3 4.40, and he uses his speed as a weapon. He reaches his top speed really quickly and is usually a couple steps ahead of his defender. He's got a great catch radius, and he consistently brings in catches outside of his frame. He has the clutch gene. Mitchell produces in those big games. He caught the go-ahead touchdown that helped Georgia earn the 2021 national title. And he didn't reach the 1,000-yard mark last season, but had 81.8% of his catches go for a first down or a touchdown last year. That's a great number. I think I look at A.D. Mitchell as this. The second tier of receivers, some people say it's projection based. What are you going to get out of this receiver? Is there a high floor, a high ceiling? Is it boom or bust? But I look at a receiver like A.D. Mitchell, and I think about pairing him with a quarterback like Josh Allen, who is proven in what he does. And I think a player like Josh and a system like the Bills run could get the best out of a receiver like A.D. Mitchell.
Yeah, it's there are a lot of choices here. Maddie Glab, BuffaloBills.com, draft coming up on Thursday. Troy Franklin from Oregon, are we seeing any mocks with the Buffalo Bills selecting him at 28, Maddie?
Troy Franklin is a name that started to pop up again. He was popping up quite a bit around the combine, I want to say, and then the name, we didn't see it as much, but as of late, his name has come up again, and he's actually the third favorite player that has been mocked to the Bills. Now, Brian Thomas Jr., A.D. Mitchell have been mocked to the Bills more than 30 times. Troy Franklin is sitting there at 13 right now, so he's the third favorite on the list, and this is somebody who's 6'2", 176 pounds. He was a first-team All-Pac-12 player in 2023. He's quick and a field stretcher. It's not easy to blend a 6'2" frame with a 4.41 40 time, but he makes it look easy, and he can win with the way that he runs his routes. He led the Pac-12 with 14 receiving touchdowns last season. Franklin also finished his collegiate career with 25 total touchdowns, which was the most in Oregon program history. So you're getting someone who was a productive wide receiver at the collegiate level, but the knock on him is his frame, being 176. Are you going to trust that a frame like that will stand up and withstand going up against tough defenses at the NFL level? You think about a receiver like that facing press coverage. Can he do that? And so that's one of the questions on a receiver like him, but I do think he has some talent to him.
Maddie, I want to talk for a second here, but before we continue to talk about some of these Tier 2 wide receiver prospects. We heard from Brandon Beane yesterday, and he kind of came out and said something that we can view as a smokescreen if we choose, or we can take him at his word that the Bills don't necessarily need a number one wide receiver. Now, a lot of us hear that and go crazy thinking, of course you need a number one wide receiver. You just traded one away in Steph Diggs. You've got to replace that player. Do you have to replace that player, or do you have to replace that production? I think you do have to replace that production, and you have to get a player that can do the things that you ask them to do. Have a type, because I always believed that they were looking for guys that were great separators, and that was certainly something that was a strength of Steph Diggs. But do they have a type? Does the prospect that they end up going with here, does he have to be a guy that has a certain build, a certain frame, a certain skill set, or are they just going to take the guy that they believe has the intellect to understand this offense and the ability to do whatever they ask him to do?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I have no idea what they're going to end up doing, but I think about what's in the wide receiver room already, right? And I think about what they have and what they don't have. And I think one thing they'll be looking for is an explosive receiver, somebody who does have that yak ability. You talk about what Steph was able to do for 4 straight years with the Bills. He was able to separate. He was an explosive wide receiver. He was able to get those yak yards, and I think that's something that would look great on this roster that would really help round out the wide receiver room. I'm excited to see Khalil Shakir next year and what he can do based on what he did this past season and how he really came on as a strong receiver at the end of the year. That's a spot that he earned, and a lot of hard work went into that. I'm excited to see the confidence level this season because he saw production last year, and I can't wait to see what Curtis Samuel brings to the offense as well. I think he can be used in a lot of different ways. He's going to be a chess piece for Joe Brady, and I know we have Mac Hollins, too, who will add to that size. But I think adding another receiver with some size, with some explosiveness, with some yak and rack ability would would look great on this team. Justin Shorter is another question mark. What can this guy offer? How is he going to look once we get into OTAs? These are some questions that I'm kind of thinking about as we sit here a week before the draft looking at that wide receiver room.
Maddie Glad, BuffaloBills.com, as she has her article up now at the team's website. I think you're going to do one more before we get there on Thursday. And, Maddie, I'm trying to think of different scenarios here. And the scenario being maybe the Bills trade back. Maybe they wait till the second round. Your thoughts on some of these other guys? Xavier Worthy, Ladd McConkey. Could you actually somehow maybe trade up in the second round and wait a little bit? Are there any other receivers that you personally like that the Bills could take here beyond round one?
Yeah, it's interesting hearing Brandon Beane talk about the first-round grades that they have this season for this NFL draft. He said it was more than last year, but not 28. Now, that doesn't mean that once they get to 28, if they decide to stay there and pick there, that doesn't mean there's not going to be a first-round grade available for them. Every team places grades on players differently, so there could be a first-round grade available for them at 28. But if there's not, maybe they decide to move out of the first round to go get a receiver like Xavier Worthy or Leggett or Ladd McConkey or Ricky Pearsall. I think these are all names who might be available in the second round. Now, Worthy, I wonder if he's going to sneak into the first round just because of that 4.2 140. Tyreek Hill, what he did for the NFL in terms of speaking about speed and what that can do for an offense, I think really has a lot of teams thinking differently about what speed can bring to an offense. So I wouldn't be shocked if I saw him sneak into the bottom of the first round just because of the traits that he possesses and how a defense has to account for a player like that and how you could really shape an offense around a player like him. Somebody that I really enjoy too is Ricky Pearsall out of Florida. I think he could be a fun pickup for the Bills in the second round. He's 6'1", 191. He ran a 4.4 140. He has a great feel for how to play the wide receiver position with the way he finds and creates space. He's impressive with the way that he can track the ball and make catches that seem outside of his catch radius. He plays really tough. He gives off the aura of my life depends on this game. And I feel like that fits in Buffalo's offense. That's how Josh Allen plays the quarterback position. He had the best catch of the year last season. It was a one-handed catch against Charlotte. He just jumped in the air, stuck a hand out, and caught it. It was so impressive. If you guys haven't seen it, you got to look it up. He led Florida in receiving yards over the last 2 seasons and saw improvements every year in college. I think he possesses a skill set needed to be a productive wide receiver in the NFL, and he's got quickness and a good feel for the position. I mean, Ladd McConkey and Ricky Pearsall are also talked about together. I think Ricky Pearsall or Ladd McConkey, is an all-around smart player. I really like watching him, and I've enjoyed getting to study his tape and what he possesses as a receiver. He's a dynamic route runner. He can trick defenders with his quick and soft feet. He knows how to find the creases in the game and knows how to get open. He just seems like the wide receiver who does the film work, and then you see that translate on the field. And then a player that I have enjoyed watching as well is Xavier Leggett. He plays the position really strong as well. He can break through defenders. You see stiff arms and hurdles on tape when you're watching him. He's not afraid of press coverage. He's not afraid to get dirty. I think he can add a little bit more to his route tree at the next level. But these are wide receivers that I think could be available for the Bills in the second round if they decide to trade back and accrue more draft assets.
Maddie, I don't want to get off the wide receiver train, but I do want to play devil's advocate for a second because they mentioned that they don't need a number one wide receiver, and we know that they have to replace the production that they've lost with Gabe Davis and Steph Diggs leaving. We also know that there are holes in this roster on the defensive side of the ball as well. Is there something to be said for looking at defensive line or edge rusher and taking the best player on the board available if you're there at 28? And then a follow-up to that in terms of how Brandon Beane thinks about, as he's drafting, cost control down the road. And maybe he doesn't even think about that, but they do put a different premium on different positions on the field. And if you have a defensive end, for example, on that rookie deal, you have a little bit more control over what they might consider to be a more important position on the team than a wide receiver.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it makes sense to draft positions like defensive linemen and wide receivers in the first round, because you do get that cost control. And the Bills do have to think about, down the road with Josh Allen's contract, you're paying one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. So would you rather have a premier position on a rookie contract that you can save on for the next several seasons? Or are you willing to go outside of some of those premier positions and pick up a player like Cooper DeJean, who's also popped up here and there in mock drafts since I've been tracking? He could be a difference maker in his first season. It would be interesting to see where he would play on the Bills defense, whether that would be cornerback or safety. I see him as a safety in this defense, just knowing the holes that we have in this roster. I mean, I know we have Taylor Rapp and Mike Edwards. It'll be interesting to see how things shake out in that room with starters, but Cooper DeJean is someone who is athletic. He's got good size. He's instinctive and strong. He knows how to get his hands on the football and is great against the run. He's got a knack for finding the end zone when he picks the ball off. He knows how to run through people because of his experience returning punts. He does an incredible job of reading the quarterback and can bait a quarterback and knows when he can really pursue the football and pick it off. And when you look at edge rushers, a player that I've grown to like, and I know there's the medical questions about him, is Laiatu Latu, the defensive end out of UCLA. I think he has a lot in his toolbox that is going to be important at the next level. He's an all-around athlete. He's got some finesse to the game with the way he has moves, and he's got creativity with the way he plays the position. It looks easy to him. He has a great instinctive speed. He can play the run and the pass. He's really good at shedding blocks. He's strong with the way he can blow past an offensive line and knock a quarterback to the ground. So while wide receiver is the favorite right now, I can also see this team going a different position if that's what makes sense for them at 28. Or let's say there's a run on wide receivers earlier than we thought there would be, and the Bills are sitting at 28, and the guy that they would have chosen in the first round if they wanted to is not available. Well, then maybe they go defensive end. Maybe they go a defensive back. I could see that happening as well.
Maddie Glab, BuffaloBills.com, our guest, and certainly Bills fans. As you know, Maddie, yes, we all are focused on round one, but boy, oh boy, watching Friday and then into Saturday, and you want to get lots of talent in this draft. And a question about the running back position, because we saw the report that Notre Dame running back Audric Estime was in for one of those top 30 visits. What are your thoughts on Estime, and could he actually still be around, do you think, in round 4?
Yeah, he's projected as a fourth round, a day 3 guy. So the question that goes along with that sentence, though, is when is the run on running backs going to start? Because if it starts earlier than expected, then maybe he's going to be off the board. But Brandon Beane was asked about the running back position and asked what he thought about the guys in it and if he would be wanting to look for a bigger bodied running back. And he said, we're excited to have James Cook and Ty Johnson back next season. And I know Damian Harris and Latavius Murray were kind of our power running backs last season. Damian really didn't play much, but that would make sense to add to our running back room. But if we can't find a running back that's 220 plus pounds, then we would just take the best available, take someone who would add and round out our room. But Audric Estime is built like a linebacker. Oh my gosh, I like his measurables. 5'11", 221 pounds. He ran a 4.7 140, and once he gets going on film, it looks like it's really tough to stop him just because of the power that he has to him. He'll break through a defense and just go. He had 18 touchdowns last season, 29 in his career in college football. So he's a productive running back. He led the team in rushing the last 2 seasons. I like the way he cuts. he's a powerful back with the way that he moves, but he has the vision of a smaller running back. And I love the blend of those two things because I feel like you don't usually get that in a powerful 220-pound body. But he's somebody that I would also love to see on this team.
So, Maddie, as you're monitoring all the mock drafts, and you mentioned how many you're going through, how often do you see the Bills moving up? How often do you see them moving down? What do you think that likelihood is that the Bills actually get out of round one or move down to later in round one?
I think out of the ones that I've tracked so far, so 129 total, I've seen them move out of the first round only once or twice. So it's not popular, but I also feel like when you're doing a first-round mock draft, it's not as fun to have a team move out of the first round. So maybe that's why we just haven't seen it as much. But speaking of trading up to go get a player, since, let's say, in the last 9 days, I've counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mock drafts that have us trading up to go take Brian Thomas Jr. or Malik Neighbors. We've had 5 or 6 mock drafts that have us trading up to go take Brian Thomas Jr. in the last 2 weeks. So that's been a favorite name for us in terms of trading up. Now, with who we're trading up, and trading our picks with, I've seen the Eagles pop up a couple of times, sitting at 22, so moving up from 28 to 22 to go get Brian Thomas Jr. Is he going to be available at number 22? I'm not sure. I'm starting to be convinced that he's going to go in the late teens.
Mock Draft Watch 9.0. Maddie Glab doing all the work, so we don't have to, she's doing all the work for us. When does 9.0 we can go check out right now? When is 10.0 coming out, Maddie?
10.0 is coming out early next week, I believe Tuesday or Wednesday. So a perfect preview ahead of the draft on Thursday night.
Really unbelievable job this offseason so far, Maddie. Looking forward to seeing what the Bills do come next weekend, and looking forward to seeing you, hopefully, again here at St. John Fisher for training camp. It'll be fun to see some new faces.
I know. I'm excited, and I can't wait for the draft. What a fun time for this team.
Thanks, Maddie. Let's do this again. Thanks, Maddie.
Appreciate you guys.
You got it. Maddie Glab. You can read her work at BuffaloBills.com, her mock draft watch. Fun little series this offseason to kind of keep track of here, and version 10.0 early next week in advance of next week's NFL draft starting Thursday night.
I see with all these receivers, and it's the quarterback sometimes that makes the receiver, I think they stay there at 28, Danger. I think they do the unexpected. And maybe it's McConkey at 28.
The unexpected would be going defense at 28.
Actually, it's not a bad idea, though.
I know.
If you can get the receiver in round 2.
I know that there's a lot of people that want that wide receiver in the first round. And I'm not here to tell you that they're set at wide receiver, because they're not. But I'm also not going to tell you that they're set at edge rusher, because they're not. They've got some holes to fill. I'm not going to tell you that they're set in the secondary, because I don't know that they are. It'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out, how it all falls to the Buffalo Bills in terms of how many of those receivers go, how many of those offensive tackles go, how many quarterbacks go. That'll all help dictate what the Bills decide to do at the end of the first round.
Look, teams that have that safety. The Ravens taking Kyle Hamilton.
Love that.
Yeah, and it makes such a difference for your defense. Cooper DeJean could be that. I don't think Cooper DeJean is there at 28. Why are you laughing?
Because you've convinced yourself that you've got your guy, I've got mine.
All right.
It's Cooper DeJean. Go ahead, Gene. It's okay.
Listen, I want Cooper DeJean. I think Sean McDermott and Cooper DeJean have this bond.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about Ladd McConkey. I think if Ladd McConkey was, if they don't leave Detroit without Ladd McConkey, they're missing out. I think that Ladd McConkey is the kind of guy that you plug in and immediately there's a connection with Josh Allen, and from what we hear, smart guy will be able to pick up this offense. We'll see. It'll be it'll be a lot of interesting. It'll be an interesting night for sure. Not just when the Bills are on the clock, but what happens prior. Because you heard Maddie. There's a lot of mock drafts out there that have the Bills trading up. A lot of them have the Bills getting up as high as the top 10. I mean, anything is possible.
Anything
is possible, and you can never say never. Todd Walsh, voice of the Phoenix Coyotes, will be joining us next hour, about a half an hour from now. We have time for your calls at 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326, and we'll update you on the news of the day. Today, the Buffalo Bills and the Pagulas announcing that 25%, roughly 25% of the team is for sale. And what does that mean for the other rumors that have been circulating around their owned sports properties, including our Rochester Nighthawks? We'll get into that and more next. And again, your phone calls are always welcome at 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326.
You're listening to the Sports Bar. The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
6 days away from the draft, and we are ready to get this thing rolling.
The Buffalo Bills select touchdown Buffalo, Josh Allen.
Mike Danger.
People sleuthing the stream, wondering where Gene disappeared to when it just coincidentally baseball writer called in.
Gene Battaglia.
You're not going to see me flying high. I'm just telling you, Mike. I'm a new man. I'm a new fan.
I'm Chuck McDowell.
Oh, yeah.
Trent Baalke farted yesterday.
Excuse me, was that wrong?
The Pagulas selling every team except for the Buffalo Bills.
My God, the misinformation flying around right now. Lying season is well underway.
You've got the NFL draft, the NBA playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Amerks hockey. The Cleveland Monsters.
Cleveland.
Noah Osland will be in the lineup tonight.
Oh, hello. This is Robert. Sometimes you refer to me as the baseball guy.
Oh, baseball writer.
I'm on my way to Syracuse. Have you heard about this concert?
The boss was in Syracuse.
Baseball writer took his shirt off and he was twerking.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan. Rochester.
Voice of the Phoenix Coyotes, Todd Walsh. Going to stop by the sports bar. Also, Rochester native Todd Walsh. Going to stop by the sports bar here in about 20 minutes or so. We'll talk about the week that he's had. That's a memorable one. We'll welcome you back in here to the sports bar. Thanks for joining us on 95.7 FM, AM 950. We sound our best on the free-to-download Odyssey app or on your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. If you're watching our video stream today on our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester, by the way, like and subscribe while you're there. Put a little wind in the sails. We're also streaming on Twitch, twitch.tv/The Fan Rochester. You'll notice that one of us is a mess and one of us is taking care of themselves today.
Yeah. I mean, I am the one that is showered. You did the work. Now, you and I just say we were out there working, and then all of a sudden the heavens opened up.
We should preface everything by saying today was our commitment to our Earth Day initiative, our one thing. We went to Greentopia over here, our friends in the High Falls district. We cleaned up our little space there at Browns Race. And I took command of like one of the beds that are there along the little waterway, the little water feature that they have in front of Browns Race. The where the old centers at High Falls is, and I'm in there and I'm pulling stuff, and I think I'm pulling weeds, and then somebody comes over and is like, "What are you pulling?" I'm like, "Pulling weeds, I'm pretty sure. Did I do it wrong?" And they're And made me like feel self-conscious, like, oh my God, am I gonna have to replant things that I'm pulling out? I'm like, no, these are weeds. But yes, the skies open up. We get rained on a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, my feet are still wet right now. Like I'm still kind of sloshing around a little bit.
Quick question: why don't you just go home and shower?
Ran out of time. Didn't have time. We got done with that. I came here, I had work that needed to get done. I would have been cutting it a little too close. I've got a pretty good attendance record here in the sports bar. When I'm scheduled to be here at 3, I'm here at 3, buddy.
Yeah, the only time was you were on your way back from Buffalo, accident on the throughway, and like, okay, that's life. That'll happen. But no, I cannot recall any other instance.
I'm looking the part of somebody who was working in a flower bed in a landscaper kind of way here. I've got I'm filthy. I'm filthy and still kind of uncomfortable and a little bit damp still from the rain that hit us earlier today. Gino, you had time to go home and shower. I'm envious of you for the rest of this afternoon.
I'm dry. I'm clean.
Dry, clean, and comfortable. I am Pigpen from Peanuts. That's what I am. Just a cloud of dust. I feel disgusting.
But great that we were out there cleaning it up. Also, I'll say this. Sometimes I get it. Maybe it's a windy day and you have a piece of paper that blows away. Maybe something falls out of your bag. But can we all stop being so piggy? I like some of the stuff you pick up. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
It's I know a lot of times it'll be like, oh, you leave out your trash bin and the wind gets to it and there's not
sure.
Right. But it's the little things like I don't understand the person who'll just spit their gum out or throw their gum out and just leave it on the street. Like if you're too big to do the small things, you're too small to do the big things. Throw away your gum. Mm-hmm. Throw away your trash. Don't be that guy. Yeah, it felt good. It's always satisfying. It's satisfying work. You start and it looks one way, you finish it looks another, and you can look back at it and be like, oh, we did that. And now this was a little This was foreplay for what I've got ahead of me in my own yard, because I haven't even done anything in my yard yet this spring other than drag out some lawn furniture. I've got to get after it this weekend.
No, this is way overdue. And tomorrow I have not one but 2 lacrosse games.
Oh,
so
Gino.
St. John Fisher women 11, St. John Fisher men at 2. I'm thinking all day Sunday, Danger, and I am embarrassed. I'm ashamed to say I have not gotten the first mow in yet.
I got my 10-year-old, 11-year-old nephew popping off at me. I get him on the bus every morning. He shows up, and he walks into the house. He goes, "You got to cut your grass, man." I'm like, "Yeah, Vinny, I know, buddy. I know.
Wow.
I'm really trying to get it up to your knees, and eventually maybe you'll get lost in the backyard, but I'm going to try and get to it this weekend."
Listen, if I saw your daughters, I would never, ever tell somebody else, parent somebody else's daughters, but I would shame them a little bit. I'd be like, "Are you helping your dad out in the yard? Are you doing that? Is Sandy getting out there helping?" No.
Absolutely not.
Why?
No, my kids will, if I give them enough warning, they'll do it. They're not happy about it, but they will do it. Like anything in life, if you turn it into a game, then it becomes something. Or if you can dangle a carrot in front of them, then it becomes something, right? But it's usually met with resistance, and if it is them participating, it's kind of like scowling and not really giving their best effort, and it's frustrating. But I don't mind going out there and doing it. I didn't mind today, even though it rained on us, and even though I'm a sloppy mess for the rest of this afternoon. It's good, honest work, and it helps out our community. Love doing it. Mm-hmm. Can't wait to get after it in the yard this weekend as well.
Yeah. I think our guy Derek brought up an interesting point, because years ago there were vacant buildings. Like, what if they had put an arena down in the High Falls?
It's a great point.
Yeah.
It's a great point, man. If you would have taken all of the buildings that were vacant in our neighborhood, knocked them down, and built an arena here in the High Falls district, right down the street from Frontier Field, what would that have done? Or, I mean, geez, think about where the soccer stadium is versus where it could have been. Because I know a lot of people, their number one complaint is where the soccer stadium is.
Yeah.
Which isn't, look, it's not ideal, but it's not the worst place where it could be. But, it's not great. And if you did it here, would it have been better?
Well, it's not great from the standpoint of, and this is a fact, that you leave the place right away. You're not hanging around there. Like, you're going home. So the idea that you could actually go and have that is like when you go to a Sabre game, that's a little fun. You go over to the Labatt House or in one of the nearest places. Before we get to, I'll drink to that, couple headline stories today, because a lot of rumors yesterday surrounding the Nighthawks. They're not going anywhere, all right? So we reached out this morning, said, hey, there's all this speculation. And then on top of the speculation, you had the report last night from Tim Graham that said none of these teams are for sale. However, basically, if somebody asked Terry Pegula about the Nighthawks, because they own 2 teams, he would listen to them. And the Nighthawks gave a statement to us that basically, I should read it, Danger.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the Nighthawks, this was just as we were getting on the air, the recent rumors and speculation about the Rochester Nighthawks relocation are not true. The team is focused on their remaining games this weekend and looking to finish the regular season strong. Season tickets for next season are now on sale. And for more information on tickets, please reach out to the Rochester Nighthawks front office. Okay. That's all great. That's what we want. Well, Mike Danger, what is that statement leaving out?
Well, I didn't hear the statement say that the team isn't for sale.
Right. And I think, just to kind of shine a light on this, these were the 3 questions that we asked here. 1, are the Nighthawks for sale? 2, if so, will every opportunity be afforded to a Rochester buyer or a group that is committed to Rochester to keep the team here? 3, can you definitively say there will be Nighthawk lacrosse in Rochester next season?
Well, I think one of those questions was answered.
Yep, question 3. And question 1, we just kind of... My read on it, Danger, is that if you ever wanted to own a sports team and you don't mind losing money, and that sounds crazy, but this is your opportunity, I'm sure you would get an audience with Mr. Pegula or his people.
That sounds about right.
Well, we know that actually from the standpoint of the Buffalo Bills. They put out a statement today saying that they are looking for a minority partner. Does this mean the Pagulas are having cash problems? No, actually, this is probably was the plan all along. And follow me. And credit Greg Thompson for pointing this out, because if you sell 25% of the team, basically you're not paying for anything when it comes to the new stadium. Voila! And you're going to reap in and have all the benefits here. So 25% of the team and the Pagulas' costs are covered.
That is, man, that is something, isn't it? To think about a multi-billion-dollar facility that is being built and the owner of the team isn't paying for any of it. Your PSLs, your tax dollars, and whoever decides to step in and say, yeah, I'll take a chunk of the team off your hands. Here's my share. And that covers the expense. God. NFL ownership, the biggest gangsta move in the world.
Yeah.
Be an NFL owner. My God. What a racket. That's amazing. Todd Walsh going to join us here next. It's been an interesting week for him as the voice of the Arizona Coyotes. I keep calling them the Phoenix Coyotes, old habits. But the team obviously moving to Salt Lake, and Todd giving his farewell, is a Rochester native, giving his farewell earlier this week. We'll have him on for what I'm sure was an emotional week, and dive a little bit more into that situation there with an NHL team on the move.
Yeah, let's fire off some takes here, and you can also join us at 866-4FAN, 866-4326. The best sports takesman today, some may say it's Stephen A., some may say it's Mad Dog. I think it's Chuck. Charles Barkley has opinions. He is the best. And with that, sometimes you don't agree with his opinions. You can disagree with him, and that's just fine. It's only sports. This is one I disagree with. Barkley says that Jonte Porter should not have been banned, that he should have received a 5-year suspension, calling him a young kid, saying he deserves a second chance. Look, here in the sports bar, we say that quite often. Everybody deserves a second chance. But sorry, Chuck, there is one crime in sports that deserves the sports equivalent to the death penalty. That's it. Betting on your team. Betting, period. The question is, will we ever have a story? Because Jonte Porter is kind of a Francesa, right?
We'll forget about him.
Yeah. Will we ever get a big name to do this again? Pete Rose. You may not think that now. Trust me. Pete Rose, he was the all-time hit leader at the time. He was that big name. And to baseball's credit, they never bent on that.
It's not a failure. I'm going to look at Giannis. Giannis is the big name. Giannis will be the guy that'll come out and it'll be like, oh, Giannis wasn't playing to his full potential. Giannis was pulling himself out.
Time out. You're still upset about him sitting down in that.
Very upset.
You're still upset about
really
it.
upset.
So wait. You know what was weird about that? It's like I'm coming up the court. It looked like he was doing bad acting, did it not?
Yes. I am upset about it. And yes, I am skeptical. It will be at some point.
Don't make me laugh.
I hope it doesn't happen. But it's if it is a bigger name, it becomes a bigger story. That's the last thing that any of these leagues want. These leagues don't want that gravy train to come to a stop. They want to keep being aligned with the casinos that keep pouring money into these leagues. It's the world that we live in now, and if you're skeptical of it, you have every right to be, based on the precedent that's been set by guys like Jonte Porter. And just to review, a good take and a good takesman should make you angry. A good take should split the audience. It really should be half of people agree with him, half of the people don't agree with him. And if it makes you angry, then it probably makes you angry because there's a shred of truth to what's being said. It might not be the truth. It might not be entirely possible, but there's a chance. There's a possibility. And what Charles is saying here is, hey, come on. Who hasn't made a stupid mistake when you're a boneheaded kid? 5 years feels right. And there are people that would hear that and be like, yeah, he's got a good point. Where would any of us be without a second chance? And then there are other people that be like, no, absolutely not. This is, and so you're on that side. Chuck's on that side.
Well, you have to have that deterrent. That's it.
You have to make an example.
You have to make an example.
If you thought Brandon Beane and his "we don't need a number one wide receiver" bit from yesterday was rich, check out the act of Jets GM Joe Douglas just said, "Hold my beer." Douglas telling reporters yesterday he believes that quarterback Zach Wilson is an asset. Could have shaved a couple of letters off of that last word there for a more accurate statement. The season of lying, Gino, it's hitting its crescendo, and with our buddy Tyrod backing up HIV as a government conspiracy guy, well, the Jets are in for another wild ride. Just sit back and watch the dysfunction play out.
The executive producer was asking me about Rodgers, like, what is he doing here? And it's like, well, here's my opinion. There's no more drama when it comes to am I playing or not, or am I... He is so attention craved that he has become conspiracy guy. Like, that's my only explanation.
I think he's been conspiracy guy, but now he has more of a platform than he's ever had. He's getting more shots to be vocal about the conspiracies that he's probably always believed in, but he is just taking it so far.
Well, it's bad from, okay, you believe that stuff. I'm not going to argue that, but what I will point out is, dude, you were doing auto insurance commercials, and you were the host of Jeopardy, and you had yourself kind of set up for this nice life, and you're going to be like the weirdo in the woods here. Is that what you want?
Well, there are some people that would listen to what Aaron Rodgers has to say and, say, yeah, I'm finally glad somebody's saying what we all know. We all know it's true. Obviously, the government created HIV. God, that's who he's playing to. And you don't have to look hard to find a wide group of people who, no, maybe not a wide group of people, but a vocal segment of our population who, hears what he says and like, yeah, I totally get what he's doing. He's spreading the truth is what he's doing. Nobody wants him to say what he's saying. Thank goodness we have Aaron Rodgers saying what he's saying, keeping everybody honest.
I've yet to meet the person who actually...
Well, you probably don't meet that person, but that person is out there. Those people are out there, and those people are engaging with Aaron Rodgers in a positive way and feeding the validation that he so seeks.
That's the point. It's not about the conspiracy. It's about the validation. Me. We've got... you want to save these takes for later, Danger?
Yeah, we got time. Yeah. We'll do it later on. Happy Hour is going to come up here at 5 o'clock. But next up, we want to get to the desert and talk to our buddy, Rochester native Todd Walsh, voice of the Phoenix Coyotes, the Arizona Coyotes, I should say, moving to Salt Lake City. We'll be talking to Todd next about the week that was for him. And man, his send-off was an emotional one and really, really well done. We'll play a piece of that coming up here next in the Sports Bar. You can join us at 866-4FAN, 866-4326.
You're listening Neat or on the rocks? It's the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
And I will say this, it's not about goals and moments and memories that are about what I saw. What I have learned along the way in the last 3 decades, that hockey is about people. And they are amongst the best people in the world. Personally speaking, in 2000, when my father died, I couldn't afford a trip to New York the next morning after he passed on a Sunday, but it was my broadcast partner, Tom Curvers, who showed up at the airport and handed me 50,000 flight miles and said, go home. 15 years later, when my mom died in Rochester, New York, I went back to collect all of her belongings. And I got a text. I was all alone in that house. You can imagine that feeling. You may have lived it. Teppo Newman texted me. He was a member of the Buffalo Sabres, and he said, I just got on the New York State Thruway. We're having breakfast in Rochester. I don't want you to be alone. That's what hockey is all about.
Todd Walsh joining us in the Sports Bar. Man, after hearing your send-off the other night, we're claiming you as ours. I know you're a Rochester native. You're ours, man. Well done, sir. How are you, Todd?
I'm good. You guys can give Rochester Red Wing updates, Amherst updates, and I can listen to Rochester commercials for the next 10 hours. Can I just hang out here and listen? Do you mind?
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're one of us.
Yeah, Todd, before we talk about this emotional week for you, like tell our audience again, like the story of you just kind of packing up our town and leaving for Phoenix, and it's worked out great for you since.
Yeah, my older sister went to the University of Arizona. She was 12 years older than me, and I flew out there in 1974 all by myself to Tucson, and I just remember they put a sticker on my chest and said, my name is Todd, and the flight attendants took me all the way out there. They treated me like a king, and then got off on the tarmac, and I looked up and I saw saguaro cactus and mountains, and I fell in love with it, and that was my dream forever. And my original dream, pipe dream, was to play baseball at the University of Arizona. I stayed for a year after graduating from Schrader and went to St. John Fisher. Her name was Patty, so there's that. And then I just ran away, and I literally packed up my 77 Volkswagen Scirocco and drove across country and rolled into Tucson. And don't ask me how. I wound up on Lute Olson's first ever basketball staff and a full scholarship and a Pac-10 championship ring. I don't even understand how it happened, but it did. And I knew I wanted to be a broadcaster. And my speech to everybody that wants to do something and they get into a college situation is get an internship and just think about proximity. Get as close as you can, because I was with a basketball team, a Division I basketball team, and I hung out with the media and the radio guy, and that radio guy put me on his station. He had me do interviews when I was a senior on that team and interviewing my own teammates, and the rest just kept falling into place. But I will always be a native of Rochester, New York, and Webster, New York. And if anyone's on Empire Boulevard in Webster right now, and you got a chance to swing into Charlie's, grab me a Charlie burger. I guess it's a Friday, so the fish fries got to be hopping.
Mm-hmm.
Just please think of me when you do that. So that's my story, and but I'll always be from where you guys are right now.
Love it. Todd, talk to us a little bit about how we got to where we are this week with the Coyotes. I know it's been a long up and down roller coaster ride that unfortunately now leads to a time, at least a time period, where it doesn't appear like there's going to be hockey in the desert for the next few years at least.
Yeah, I know. The shot heard around the world is the current ownership and Alex Morello and his family and his son that has really just flipped this thing upside down. And leaving Glendale Arena with no real NHL standard destination was the death knell. The first year at Mullet Arena in front of 4,000 people was unique. We created this sense of intimacy, and the few fans that got in there enjoyed it. The players dealt with it, but it didn't take long for that novelty to wear off. It didn't take long to start hearing the rumblings of the visiting teams rolling in. And then I started to hear the chirping from the Coyotes room. And that was my first indication, like, oh, this is not sustainable. But the fact that they lost the election in Tempe to try to get their their arena there. I still think that wasn't about a vote against hockey. I think it was a vote against the trust in the man that said he was going to build that. But it predates him, and you can't lay it all on him, and I won't. And he was kind enough, and his group was kind enough to rescue all of us broadcasters when our network, Valley Sports Arizona, went bankrupt 1 week before the season.
Yeah.
It's been a hell of a year, by the way. But it just goes all the way back to unstable ownership and never really getting their own facility. When they first got here, they played in America West Arena for the Suns facility, 8,000 obstructed view seats. They couldn't put their own signage up. It was just a never-ending battle and a series of missteps. I know that the league is in love with this market. I believe they're coming back. I don't believe it will be with the current owner. I just don't see that happening. But the market is still, I believe, right for hockey in the right situation. There's an unbelievable hockey footprint here. It's 85 degrees and I'm sitting by a pool right now. But I could go 2 miles down the road to the ice in Scottsdale, and the rinks and the sheets are full. And every sheet in town is full from 6 a.m. until 11 p.m. And high school hockey is huge. Junior hockey, even the Kachinas, the women that are playing. It is a vibrant hockey market, but you got to handle it right.
Yeah, Arizona State, they came up here, played RIT, and it's great to see how the sport is expanding. Here's one of my questions, Todd, and that's, we read about this land auction or something. There was another plan. Like, was this plan so flimsy the NHL didn't trust it? Like, why not at least give this one more year? Well,
it just goes back to Mullet Arena. I mean, even to do that, let's say they do it, and he's probably going to win the land auction, because I don't see to get into an auction, you have to have a plan. You have to present a plan for the land and drop down a big pile of money, a percentage of the worth of the land. And I don't see anyone out there that has a plan for the land but him. But the problem is, even if you say, all right, he's going to do it, you're going to add another year to Mullet Arena, and that just was not going to happen. The league was not going to let that happen. The union was not going to let that happen. And that, to me, was just the final tipping point. And there's just some issues within the current structure of Coyotes and the way they're running things that clearly caught the league's attention. I don't know if anyone's going to say it out loud, but it did. And that's it. That's the end. It was shot. I mean, I was on the road with the team when the news broke. We were in Canada. We were on a 9-day road trip, and it was just one of the most difficult circumstances I've ever been as a broadcaster, to try and navigate those waters with that team that had been dealing with this. And if it weren't for the head coach, Andre Tourigny, and his stability, I'm not sure how that trip would have wound up. He rallied the troops and turned it into a stronghold for them.
Talking to Todd Walsh, he is the voice of the Arizona Coyotes. And Todd, just to look ahead to the future and think of, maybe potential brighter days where hockey does return to the desert. Is it about the ownership? Is it about somebody coming in there and being able to work with the municipalities and building a new arena, a hockey-only arena for the Coyotes? We know that the NHL wants to expand, and I would think that coming back to Arizona would be a priority.
It is, and I think so. I just don't know how long it is. He's been given Morello a 5-year window with all kinds of stipulations. I just don't believe that that's going to eventually come to fruition. In my heart, I don't with him, but I believe it will return, maybe not in my professional lifetime. I remember when the North Stars left and how long it took for the Wild, and there are other examples of that in other sports
Jets
as well. Clearly, yeah. So, and by the way, I learned, I was here, I know you guys are probably running up against time, but I was here when the Jets came here, obviously. And I remember guys that were covering the Jets from Winnipeg that had to cover the Coyotes for a year on the beat, and how angry and bitter they were and how hurt they were. And then there was a rumor that the Coyotes were going to go back to Winnipeg. And then the internet happened and Twitter happened, and I was under attack. I blocked more people from Winnipeg than you can possibly count. But then going to Winnipeg, the Coyotes would get booed. Shane Doan was getting booed in every possession. And I understood their pain and their loss, and that is why we started our pregame show the other night for the last game with video of the last game in Winnipeg and the whiteout and the sadness and the just the hurt at the soulful level of those fans there, and fans here are feeling that. And I wanted everyone here to know that was watching, hey, just remember how it all started. because Salt Lake's getting an unbelievable team, and these guys are going to be good. I just heard minutes ago that they're going to broadcast their games here in this market. I don't know how that'll play out, but people here, the hockey community, invested in that team emotionally. How long that lasts, I don't know. I do believe it'll be back. I just don't know when.
Yeah, there's a human aspect to this, too, is that people are losing their jobs, whether that's just a concession worker or somebody in PR or Todd, what is the future for you? I mean, are you following the team up to Utah here?
I was just going to say, or the pre- and post-game show host,
Yeah.
I don't know. My contract ended after that game, and I took one day to deal with this, and I start my coverage of the Diamondbacks in 2 weeks. I've got time on that contract, but for the first time in my professional life since I graduated in 1986, I'm going to wake up on October 1st and I'm not going to have a job, at least at this point. But I'm going to try to go there. I want to be a part of it. I'm not going to lie. I want to be a part of this. I think I've told the story well, and I've been a steward of this franchise, and it's in my soul. And I would love to be standing there on opening night saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Utah, whatever it is, hockey." It would be a thrill.
Todd, I wanted to take a moment. We opened our conversation playing just a small clip of your thank you to everybody that was watching Coyote hockey. I got to know, man. I mean, I know that writing that was probably difficult, but also probably poured out of your soul because it was genuine. It came from the heart, and you expressed it. But I mean, how much time did you spend rehearsing that? How much thought went into that? Because it came off just so heartfelt and genuine and gracious. And man, you told a great story that I think anybody, whether you're a fan of hockey or not, can relate to.
Wow. Well, first of all, thank you. And I can't articulate what has happened in the last 48 hours just watching this thing, and all of a sudden over 2 million views. I don't think 2 million people have watched me on the air in 36 years combined. So the fact that it resonated and touched people is astounding to me, but it tells me that real life matters. And I started to think about it on the way back from Calgary. I didn't do the normal process when I would do something like that, which is walk around the house and make sure no one's anywhere near me and just verbalize it over and over again. I just had a sense that it was so true, and the two things I wanted to touch on were real life events. And as a broadcaster in situations like that, I just think of always have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and I knew where I wanted to go. And if I fell down on my face or I lost it, so be it. But I wanted to make sure that it wasn't about me and selfies in front of cool places. It was about people, and that it did give me a professional and personal purpose. But I also, there's 1,000 stories I could have told about so many players that have been human to me and to so many others. But I wanted the Teppo Numminen story to be told because I was at my mom's house in Parrington, just off the Erie Canal, and he was with the Sabres, and he found out I was alone cleaning out their house, which was the hardest thing I ever had to do in my life. And he said, "I'm on the thruway." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I'm on the thruway. Where are you?" And he called back a minute later and said, "Do you know Rick's Cafe on Main Street in Fairport?" And how do you forget a moment like that? How do you forget a human reaction like that? Or my friend, the late Tom Kerbers, who used to tell me all the time, he was my broadcast partner, and he passed away, and I still don't, I'll never get over it, but he used to say, "You're a hockey guy." And I would never believe him. I would never let myself believe that. And when my dad died, he was in Rochester at the Baptist home down the street from Charlie's, and I couldn't, I woke up in the morning and he was gone. And back then I didn't have the financial means to just get on an airplane and go to New York. And there he was at the airport handing me his miles, just piling miles and going, "Okay, we need a little more." I mean, that's hockey to me, because it's a sport of some of the greatest people that I've ever been around, and they have shaped my life. I wouldn't have had these relationships if I didn't say to my boss, "Okay, I'll do it."
Right. Yeah.
So that's my story.
Yeah, Todd, watching that, you can't come away but thinking, okay, let's all be better here. And why is that, though? Because you cover other sports. hockey certainly has that I'm going to give you the shirt off my back mentality.
I have a theory, because people have asked me that a lot. I've done all 4 majors in Division I basketball and football and even baseball intimately. I've worked for nothing but rights holders, so I was always on the planes and in the hotels and on the buses. I've been as close to it as you can get. And this is no disrespect to the other sports, because people in the other sports have come up to me and said, hey, I hear hockey's the best. That's happened across the board. Mm-hmm. And my theory has always been that it takes a village to create a young hockey player. And the village consists of, first of all, financial investment from the family. Extraordinary, right? And it's time, and it's driving back and forth, sitting at cold rinks and getting on a team. And it's such an ultimate team sport. It demands accountability. You can't hide on a hockey rink. You can't go half speed because you will be exposed. So you always have to find your deepest thing that drives you. But what ends up happening is I think everybody starts to have a reverence and respect for that little community wherever you are in, that hockey community. I mean, listen, when our charter plane lands and the bags come off the plane, the hockey players go out into the wind and cold. And I can't tell you how many times I've been on the tarmac in Edmonton at 3 a.m. and 8 inches of snow, dragging my bag to the bus with the players. Trust me when I tell you that doesn't happen on a Major League Baseball charter, not even for a second, or an NFL charter or an NBA charter, and I've been on all of them. But it's the hockey players that grab their bags. It's the hockey players that carry their equipment bags out to the carts that go to the truck to go to the bus. So there's just a reverence and respect to the entire process, and I think that creates the kind of people that I've sort of described. That's my sense of it, and I watched it and marvel at it. That's kind of where I go with that story.
It looks like some of the wiring of some of those players has rubbed off on you through the years, Todd. You sound as good as you could sound, man. I mean, the send off was remarkable, and if they're smart, they know what they're doing. We're going to be hearing you, I'm sure, again come this fall. But if your travels do find your way back to Rochester, please don't be a stranger. We've claimed you. You're ours.
You're ours, bud.
You can have me, and I look. If I can just say this one last time, this means the world. This is the last interview that I'm going to do, and I've been bombarded in the last 48 hours, and I've enjoyed it. It's been cathartic, but you guys are the last one, and that is purposeful for me. And anytime we play Buffalo, it doesn't matter if it's back to back. I wake up, I get on the thruway, I come home, I go to Charlie's, I go to Shoots, and I get some fry cakes and some cider. I do the whole thing. I drive by my old house on Northrop Road. I do it all. I have been known, if you see some weird-looking guy standing there at Lake Ontario in Webster Park wondering what happened to his life, that's me. So say hello. And please, do not shut down Don and Bob's during the wintertime. I still like custard in January, okay?
All right, so let's make a deal, okay? You are with your new team, or maybe with Utah. You're playing in Buffalo, and if you're going to go back, Shoots is a proud. We will get you those donuts.
I'm in, and don't forget Jeremiah's wings, medium, blue cheese. By the way, the whole blue cheese thing out here is disgusting. They don't understand.
No.
I mean, if you don't say it, they give you ranch, and you walk away. No. I mean, I just don't understand. I don't understand.
No. It's
I know.
You know, because you're from here. You're one of us. And, man, if you're making your way around Western New York again, Todd, we'd love to get the opportunity to hang out in person. Don't be a stranger. Hang in there, buddy. And great job covering that team. A real unfortunate situation that you handled with nothing but class.
I appreciate that, guys. It means the world to me. And go Amerks, okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Todd. Todd Walsh.
Yeah, Todd Walsh, pre- and post-game for Arizona Coyotes hockey. And look, if you're Utah, you get that guy on your broadcast.
Of course.
You get that guy in your broadcast. You don't even hesitate.
Well, his send-off, you're any team that's looking for a host.
For sure.
You're calling Todd Walsh. And if you haven't seen it, that has got to be the most difficult thing in sports.
The monologue.
You are signing off for a franchise. That's it. Everybody's heart is broken. You're watching the seconds count down, and as you're watching him do it, you see people just in the arena, they don't want to leave. The fans of the team, it's over. They don't want to leave. And how can you do this in 5 minutes? A++. You have to go search this out. In fact, he said he's got 2 million views on it here in 48 hours.
Yeah, it's really well done. He nailed it. He nailed it. And look at that. Pride of Webster, New York, Todd Walsh, making things happen out there in the desert, and hopefully soon continuing his journey with whatever the next adventure is. Maybe it's Utah, maybe it is another team, but that guy's a pro, and really thank him for carving out some time out of his schedule to join us.
Yeah, that's and hopefully
get Evan on speed dial here. Let him know that we got to get some fried cakes to Arizona pronto.
We're gonna have the food tour. Like, hey Todd, welcome home. Here's some Bill Gray's. Yum 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 yum.
He's gonna leave it with all kinds of medical issues. He's just gonna feed him everything that Western New Yorkers eat. Just a steady diet of fried cakes and plates and frozen custard. Love that guy. Love me some Todd Walsh. That was a lot of fun, and looking forward to our next conversation with him. Happy hour is on the way next in the sports bar. Speaking of teams relocating.
Wow. Okay. Now things you don't have to worry about, but this story about the Buffalo Bills looking for investors. What is going on with this? This wasn't the Friday we expected here in the sports bar, but let's talk this through.
We have plenty of time for your phone calls if you want to join us. That number is 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Danger. The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
6 days away from the draft, and we are ready to get this thing rolling.
The Buffalo Bills select touchdown Buffalo, Josh Allen.
Mike Danger.
People sleuthing the stream, wondering where Gene disappeared to when it just coincidentally baseball writer called in.
Gene Battaglia.
You're not going to see me flying high. I'm just telling you, Mike. I'm a new man. I'm a new fan.
I'm Chuck McDowell.
Oh, yeah.
Trent Baalke farted yesterday.
Excuse me.
Was that wrong?
The Pagulas selling every team except for the Buffalo Bills.
My God, the misinformation flying around right now. Lying season is well underway.
You've got the NFL draft, the NBA playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Amerks hockey. The Cleveland Monsters.
Cleveland.
Noah Osler will be in the lineup tonight.
Oh, hello. This is Robert. Sometimes you refer to me as the baseball guy.
Oh,
but
baseball writer.
I'm on my way to Syracuse. Have you heard about this concert?
The boss was in Syracuse.
Baseball writer took his shirt off and he was twerking.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan. Rochester.
Happy hour in the Sports Bar. Appreciate you stopping by. 95.7 FM, AM 950. We sound our best in the free-to-download Odyssey app. That's AUDACY. You can also get us on your smart device when you ask it simply to play 95.7 The Fan. If you're watching the video stream today on our YouTube channel, The Fan Rochester, or on Twitch when you search out The Fan Rochester, I have to apologize for my appearance. I look like a sloppy mess.
It's not a scratch and sniff either, thank God.
Well, we should do some housekeeping here because we've got some chirping happening from the peasantry, our regulars on Elon's Twitter.
I've got an update too to the Todd Walsh interview, which a lot of people are reacting to. But go ahead.
All right,
Peter.
so we'll start with Peter because he feels like Peter tweets, "I feel like Mike Danger is using the One Thing initiative to see if he can do future dad runs without showering at Gene Battaglia and the Fan Rochester."
Danger is pushing my buttons with the dad runs and not showering and whatever. One of our sales managers, Tim, if you're listening, sometimes you come in and you smell.
Oh, he comes
runs
in on his bike.
Yeah, and dude, in the summer, don't do that. Like if you're doing it like on a Friday afternoon, nobody's here. That's fine, but I don't want to come in and smell your BO. I'm sorry.
Well, maybe you might be right, Peter. You may be onto something. Gene hasn't complained once about me. I don't think I'm ripe. I just think I'm dirty right now. I don't think I smell. I just think I'm dirty.
It wasn't a break a sweat day.
Yeah,
it really was.
I just got rained on, and I'm muddy, and I'm dirty, and my feet are wet, and that's kind of what I'm dealing with here today, Pete. But you might be onto something, Gene. If you can handle this, maybe you can handle me taking a dad run and rolling up to the Sports Bar at 2:59. Just.
No,
in a drop sweat.
No, you're you and Peter and everybody else baiting me.
Brian, East Hilton, Brian. That's East Hilton, my neighborhood.
There's no such place as East Hilton. You live in Greece.
Stop it.
You live in
Greece.
I live in
Don't
Greece.
say Greece. I don't say North Greece. I say East Hilton. I'm an East Sider. Gene, I'm an East Sider. Stop it. I'm an East Sider, and so is Brian. We're East Siders.
You live in West Greece, then.
We're East Siders. Damn it. 3 mows in so far. Now, see, nobody wants somebody coming in here bragging. Brian, 3 mows in, and I haven't even done one. I got my nephew showing up to the house this morning to get on the school bus, popping off. Yo, Uncle Chris, when are you going to mow the lawn? Hey, you stay in your lane.
Yeah.
All right, you're 11. Get over there and you get on the school bus. You little runt. You're telling me I got to mow. Yeah, I know I got to mow. I'm working on something here. I'm going to try and get it up to the knees. That's, see, we're going to test that mower deck. We're going to see how high we can raise that thing. Appreciate you reaching out, Brian. Now to Todd Walsh, who just joined us in the Sports Bar. And if you missed it, fantastic conversation with voice of the Arizona Coyotes, who hosts the pre and the post game. Think of, if you watch the Sabres, he's Brian Duff to the Arizona Coyotes as Brian Duff is to the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah,
right?
But Coyotes actually send Tom Walsh on the road. Not that,
sure.
the Sabres, I wish they would continue to do that, but Walsh has been here, there, everywhere.
Right. Chuck, Chuck Munchia, Pet, that's our buddy Greg, reaching out at the Fan Rochester. You can hear the sadness in Todd's voice.
Yeah, and I'm kind of honored that we got to do the last interview with it because it's kind of like a funeral. You don't want to talk it over and over and over and over and over again. And, for him to give us the last interview.
Yeah, I like to think about what could be next. Like, where out of this problem lies the future opportunity. And Todd, boy, he just comes off as somebody that's going to be fine. I think he's going to be fine, whether it's with the team as they move to Utah or somewhere else. He's certainly proven through his actions that he's worthy of that role with an organization. Pete also chiming in, love the Todd Walsh interview on the Fan. Rochester, get him a job in the NHL.
Yeah, it's funny, Pete, like when Todd is talking about this, and at the end, he's given all the things that he loves about Rochester. And that is the one thing we do have here that when you leave, you don't. We have great places to eat. And he brings up a good friend of the show. Evan Shoots Apple Mill. Yeah. We just had Evan, like, we're talking soccer.
Saw Evan earlier this week.
Yeah, because his wife is the RIT women's soccer coach, and Evan heard it. So, Evan, So we're trying to figure out, we're going to try to pull off a stunt where we mail him donuts. Give Todd, Todd, okay, listen, you're going through a tough time, buddy. He's going to get a little package from Shoots.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's all class. And if you didn't see Todd's send-off, take the 5 minutes, find it online, and check it out. It's emotional. It's powerful. It's got a little Rochester flavor in there. He's got roots from Rochester. He's a graduate of Webster Schrader, and has done well for himself out there in the desert, working with the Coyotes and various other. I mean, he's done all of them. He's done all the sports properties out there.
Yeah, and he gave some great advice, too, and it was this. Just, if you want to get into this business or any business, access. Just be close to the action. Intern, learn things. Just kind of, it's a people business. That's the bottom line. Whether it's communications or you want to get into sports, okay, you're not going to get hired because you're looking at a computer resume and over a screen. No, it's because you know somebody and you're just kind of experiencing things together.
Make connections, show up, say yes. I'm fairly certain that translates well to pretty much any field that you want to explore if you're up and coming. But in media and in what we do, if you show up and say yes, that's 80% of what we're all looking for, right? Like if you've got a good attitude, a good head on your shoulders, you show up, you say yes, you make yourself available, and you become valuable. I mean, and it sounds like that's exactly what the path that Todd took to achieve what he's achieved in the Phoenix area.
And by the way, boss is listening where I said he smells and everything. So I'm not here Monday, then that's why. So
who said what?
Oh, Tim. When I said
okay. Yeah. So sometimes Tim, listen.
Yeah.
I'm in the office next to him. I'm not saying I can smell him through the wall, but I know that smell. That's the smell of somebody who rides their bike to work. Is it BO? It's kind of a combination of BO and just the environment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, this time of year, you're bringing in the environment. People will be nice. Oh, you were outside.
You can tell.
Yeah.
You can absolutely tell. So I don't know that it's necessarily BO or it's his fault, but if you are riding your bike, you're going to get the environment on you. That wind is going to hit you, and that's good. You're going to carry that around. It's a delicate balance, but I'm still saying I kind of think set a tone, I think a little dad run, scheduling a dad run right before the show. When the weather gets nicer here, Gino, you might be surprised. There might be some days where I come in here just fresh and ripe from a dad run.
You continue to try to bait me, and for folks that are not watching today on YouTube or Twitch, you just got this big eating smile. Like, you're full of it. You're not going to do it, and if you did it, you would just do it to just, rub me the wrong way. That's all.
Why would it rub you the wrong way? Why does my hygiene affect you? How does it affect you in any way?
Because it's not like Spazzano and Sandy where they're not in the same room much of the time. We are like, I can't reach over and touch you, but we're pretty close here, dude.
Well, at some point, maybe we'll be in separate studios.
Maybe that's where this is leading to. When I got up this morning, like, oh no. This Nighthawk rumor story went to bed last night. Looking at the Tim Graham tweet, and the Tim Graham tweet was basically, hey, none of these teams are for sale. But if somebody asked about the Nighthawks, yeah, they would listen.
I think what we're finding out is that Terry Pegula is doing everything in his power to offset the expense of a new stadium for the Buffalo Bills. The most gangster move you can pull is being an NFL owner, where you build a stadium and you don't have to pay for it. You profit. You get the benefit. You ain't paying for it. Taxpayers are paying for it. A record amount of tax dollars going into that new stadium. PSLs will pay for it. We talked a little bit about what those are going for. It's a little bit of a sticker shock if you're a Bills fan, season ticket holder, and you've checked out the Bills experience. And today's news kind of cements it. How do you offset the rest of the cost? Let's give up a chunk of the franchise. Let's have somebody come in here and get a quarter of what we do. We'll still have control. It'll still be our team.
So I get that. And it is like it's a brazen move to do this. You hold on to the, say, 20, and it's just a round number, as Graham has pointed out. Like 25%, it could be a little more, it could be a little less, but you're not going to be in control. But that is equity with a capital E. Name me things in the world where you're going to be guaranteed a return on investment. Yeah. Being an NFL owner. That is look at when Jerry Jones bought the team back then and look to where they are now. Does anybody have any evidence that this is going to go in the opposite direction?
No. When that stadium is operating, they're going to be printing money.
It is the most exclusive club, dare I say, in the world, to be one of the 32 most wealthiest individuals. Why would the Bills why would Terry Pegula do that now? You're 25%, again, round number, now is worth a lot of money. 10 years from now is going to be worth a heck of a lot more.
Yeah. Because you know why he do it? Because somebody will do it.
I'm hoping it's somebody with Rochester roots. I'm hoping it's somebody with Western New York roots. It doesn't matter in the end, but it'll be interesting. I am going to be very curious as to who buys in. And here's why. Because over the years, what was funny is to kind of, do your homework here on the whole Nighthawks story. I went back and I watched the introductory press conference of these new owners of the Rochester Nighthawks, Terry and Kim Pegula. And it's like the date of this is September 13th, 2018, and they get the award of the expansion franchise. And then they realize, for more comments, here's Bruce Popko. I'm like, oh my gosh, that guy. I forgot about that guy. Like, the Pegulas, if you don't do your job, if you are somebody that Terry Pegula doesn't like, they've shown that time and time and time again. Minority owners, different danger. They're there.
Yeah.
They're not going anywhere.
Right. This was part of Terry Pegula's comments from the introductory press conference when they purchased the Nighthawks.
It will have the Nighthawks legacy, and we're very proud to contribute again to the Western New York and the Rochester community by keeping the team here.
Now, he used the word contribute there, and it feels almost as if the Nighthawks were like a charitable cause. Like Rochester is a charitable cause. Like we're contributing to the community. This wasn't it wasn't an investment as much as it was a donation. Right?
Yeah, that's what we kind of felt. And so, to me, what would the Nighthawks go for? And Greg, I appreciate this. He pointed out that Josiah bought that Las Vegas expansion franchise for $10 million. Like if St. Louis or wherever was rumored to want to buy the Nighthawks and move it, the Pegulas are not going to run the team. They would probably sell it. That never made any sense to me. So the Nighthawks did today what we were all kind of hoping for, just putting out the statement, denying that this team is going anywhere. They are selling tickets for next season. What the statement doesn't say is about the team being for sale.
Yeah, the statement does not say that the team isn't for sale. And on a day where he's willing to part with 25% of the Buffalo Bills, I think everything is on the table. I'm not really sure. I mean, I know the stadium is a massive, massive expense, obviously. But then what else about the Pegulas and their current lifestyle and situation do you think leads to them looking for ways to cut, leads to them looking for ways to shave a few million here, a few million there, or gain a few million here, a few million there? Certainly the Sabres are a question, right? Like, I look at how that team is built. I look at how that team is run. You look at how night in and night out the arena isn't capacity. It's not like it's not making money, but it's probably not making the kind of money they need it to make.
It are the overall cash poor, and we've seen them shut down things that maybe weren't making money to their desire. And the idea, what set the alarm off and got me a little nervous was, well, if you couple that with, hey, we're not running the arena anymore.
Yes. The arena statement from a couple of weeks ago was step one. And now you've got the rumors, and that leads to the publicly saying that they're looking for a minority partner in the Buffalo Bills. Man, that's something. And I, having lived through a similar medical situation as what Kim Pegula has been going through, it's tough. It's a drain. I don't know, what her care is like, but I imagine it's top of the line, and it isn't cheap. And I'm not saying that that's part of why this, but it might be a factor.
Well, I think it's kind of fair to put out that the Nighthawks got saved originally because we're Kim's hometown. Like that's part of the equation. Like if you're going to have the Amherst here, let's do something for the community. Like, you don't buy the Rochester Americans or any of these teams to make money in minor league sports. You're doing it because you have other reasons you want to give back. That's the bottom line.
Right. Again, to go back to the original press conference, it felt like more of the Pegulas making a donation rather than making an investment. But the good news is the Nighthawks aren't going anywhere right now. Next season, they will be here. Season tickets are on sale. Continue to support the Rochester Nighthawks. Support them with everything you have if you value having a pro lacrosse team in our town. Otherwise, who can say?
Yeah, because we kind of went through this. And look, 10 years ago, we might have said women's soccer, oh, please, roll my eyes. You had like Abby Wambach and Marta and everybody else coming through here.
And it's a thing.
It's a thing. And we had that.
Yeah.
And we also had a good soccer team playing in that. So things can kind of disappear. Now, I will say this about the Nighthawks. It's not like but looking at the attendance figures, down in Dallas, they're only drawing 2,800. It's not like the league said, hey, move this. No, that's not it at all. Things are kind of going over here. Problem with the Nighthawks, I'll say it, their goalie got hurt and their defense sucks. And right now, they could win the last two. Danger, but they would need a lot of help. Go out on Sunday. That would be my advice. Go to the game. It's Kids Day. Just have some fun. The Nighthawks are a thing where you're not entertained. Like there's going to be hits.
It's a scene. It's a lot of fun. Absolutely. And it would be a shame to see another one of our franchises pull up stakes and go to potentially greener pastures in a bigger city, a bigger market. Although Grand Rapids,
no,
that's a lateral move.
That was
St. Louis. I get it.
Well, how do these rumors start, Danger? They don't start here. Hi, I'm Joe. I'm the owner of the Grand Rapids Griffiths. Can I buy your team? Like, literally, that's how things start. Not from here. So, you know what, Grand Rapids, and to the radio station that was reporting this was happening, screw you. Literally.
Well, we'll see what goes down with the Buffalo Bills here now with them putting out their own statement mentioning that they're looking for a partner up to the tune of 25%. But if you can do it, if you have the means, man, NFL ownership, biggest gangsters in the world. What? It's a heist. It's an absolute heist. You're not double dipping. You're triple dipping. You're quadruple dipping. It's all hands in to get this stadium built. And the person that's going to come out of it, not having spent any of their own money, is the guy that's going to profit from it afterwards.
And here's also part of this, too, why the 25% they're going to get how much money for this. How many times do you see a new owner in the league hey, you know what? They were also a minority investor in XYZ. Like, for example, the Browns owner or like how many times? So if you want in the league, what better way to kind of get vetted here if you're going to buy? It's going to be fascinating. How many people are reaching out to this investment firm right now saying, I want in?
You know who I would put in that list? Western New York native. Has ties to the NFL. Big name. Hasn't spent any of his earnings as a player.
Are you talking about Gronk?
Could Gronk come in?
Dude.
Does he have the kind of money?
No.
No?
No, we're not talking about...
That family has money.
They don't. What is 25% of the Buffalo Bills? I'll tell you. Could you get $1 billion? No, you couldn't get that. Other franchises are going for $4 billion. You could get... Think about this. They bought the Bills for $1.2 billion. They could almost
recoup
with
that one movement of a quarter ownership, a quarter partnership.
Listen, that is the definition of wealth.
It just makes me like, I already feel gross. I was working in the mud today. Now I feel even more gross just thinking about this. This is a jack. It's robbery. It's unbelievable. And somebody will do it. You're right, Gino. Somebody will do it, and somebody will get their foot in the door. That stadium will be built, and Terry and Kim Pegula will have not had to put any of their own money into it. Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Danger, if we may, because we're talking to Todd Walsh, we're getting so many things, so much reaction to this. As Todd is talking to us, and he did this while Gary Bettman and Alex Marullo are giving their own press conference out in Arizona, talking about this land deal or whatever. So Alex Marullo is in front of that, in front of people. This is Alex Marullo when asked kind of a very basic question here, and the question is, "Hey, you're moving the team. When do teams get their? When are we going to get our ticket? Which I think is a valid question here. When do you get your ticket refund?" Here is Alex Marullo.
Look at it and we'll address it immediately. Just give me a chance to breathe a little bit. It's been very, like Gary said, it's been overwhelming.
Give me a chance to
breathe.
Yes, you're such a victim. Shut up.
Give me a chance to breathe.
Yeah, I'll give you your money back. Let me hold on a second here.
Hold on. Hi, I'm the district attorney or like the whoever it is in Arizona. You took money. You have to give the money back. Give me a chance to breathe. Can I play this again? This is unbelievable. Hey, when are you going to send the refunds for season tickets?
We'll look at it and we'll address it immediately. Just give me a chance to breathe a little bit. It's been very, like Gary said, it's been overwhelming.
Take of the year. Give me a chance to breathe. I just tanked the organization. Give me a chance to breathe, all right? I'm dealing with some stuff over here.
Oh, gosh. The look on Bettman's face is just like, oh.
Yeah, even Bettman. Even somebody
Bettman
as terrible as Bettman is
like
this. We got to get this guy out of here. This guy's the worst.
Yeah, Lance Lysowski putting this out. This guy is a disaster. Hope the NHL doesn't let him anywhere near one of its teams again.
You know one of the things that he's invested in as well, right?
No idea.
Our industry.
Oh.
He owns radio stations in Los Angeles and I think in Arizona as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah. That's
wow.
That's where we're headed, pal. Give me a chance to breathe. I mean, come on. I know you want your money back, and I kind of, steered the car off the road just a little bit, but give me a chance to breathe. Can't you see I'm struggling over here? What a clown. What an absolute clown. Man, if they get hockey back in the desert and that guy's involved, forget it. Why?
Well, that was interesting.
Why would you do that?
Because we were kind of led to believe, all right, this is just to kind of buy time to get the new arena up, and in 3 years, and when Todd Walsh was laying this out, I'm like, why wouldn't they wait to see if the land auction is like, you got to understand, the NHLPA was never going to allow Mullet Arena, like literally the visiting dressing room was so makeshift, it just had kind of the drop curtains and everything around it. Like, you can't do that.
No, these are professionals. They have a standard. And, for as much as as Todd was talking about how hockey players will carry their own bags and they're cut from a different cloth. Yes, but there's still a standard that needs to be set when you're a professional league. And that ain't it. That ain't it. It was interesting to hear Todd's perspective that it was novel at first, and then you started to hear the visiting teams chirp about it, and then when you started to hear the home team complain about it, that's when you started to get nervous, like, uh-oh, this isn't going well. But, give him a second to breathe here, because it's been, I'm sure he didn't hear any of those complaints or do anything to try and, fix the issues with the organization. Give him a second. Just give him a chance to breathe, Gino.
Okay, wait a second. There's more.
Oh, God. What else did this clown say?
Oh, my gosh. This is, Here, I just got to play this.
Media. And in fact,
let me
over the past year, because I don't like the media. And in fact, it's funny, I own 2 TV stations in Los Angeles, 5 radio stations in Los Angeles, and I have never once been on any radio or any TV. I don't like the media.
I don't like the media, but I own TV and I own radio stations in Los Angeles. I hate the media. What is this guy's deal, man?
Oh, my gosh.
Wow. And that's the kid. That's the son.
Yeah. Oh, that's the kid. Okay.
I think so, yeah.
Boy, the kid is always the one that just, drives into the ground,
That's right.
Yeah, it's either that, what is my news feed here on Friday? It's either terrible former Arizona Coyotes owner, or who's out there and he's not even wearing pants. He wants to show his cut legs. Taking batting practice today in Pittsburgh with the Pirates. He's your new quarterback, number 3. Mr. Unlimited.
Oh, cornball. Of course. Yeah, are there cameras around? Of course there's cameras around. He's taking some cuts with the buccos.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you were going to say the other thing that's showing up in your feed, and I've been waiting, man. I've been patient. We've gotten 2.5 hours, and I haven't brought it up once.
We're not there yet. We still got a couple of days going through. Coach and I haven't sat down and gone through the final board yet. We'll do that on Monday.
All right. That moved pretty quick. If you missed it, listen again. Listen carefully.
We're not there yet. We still got a couple of days going through. Coach and I haven't sat down and gone through the final board yet. We'll do that on Monday.
I want...
No, somebody else added that last one.
Yeah, that's the Dandalorian being cheeky.
Yeah.
Adding a little added effect. That is as impressive a performance as you're going to see on the field, off the field. That's Trent Baalke, GM of the Jacksonville Jaguars, addressing the media yesterday and letting one rip right in the middle of his press conference. Look, I know I'm 12 years old, Gino. I have a very juvenile sense of humor. Farts are and will always be hilarious to me. And he owned it, which I love. He apologized. He barely lost a beat. That's impressive. That's impressive work by the GM of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Almost as impressive as, I think, still the GOAT of farting on command, Phil Simms and Jim Nantz back in the day. You remember this?
Field goal try. Yeah, and got to remember the win. We've talked about that, and I think it's warmed up, though, Jim, just to talk about the atmosphere of the game. Yeah. What do you think? Are you warmer now than you were earlier in the game? Or are you just numb?
I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm worried about you.
It's a visual, so it's a hard thing. You don't hear it in that clip.
Is he wafting it
He
over?
says the wind, and as he says the wind, he does the waft with his hand in the direction of Nantz. Phil Simms is farting on Jim Nantz, and he talks about the heat and the temperature and the wind direction, and you can see the look of disgust on Nantz's face as he gets up and walks away from the shot. And I'm worried about you, but Simms is loving it. Simms knows exactly what he's doing and wafting it just as he's saying the word wind, throwing it in Nantz's direction.
Jim Tomasula, the Niners, did this, but he didn't own it. And for Baalke, look good. What is Baalke up there? He is doing what every other GM is doing right now, every other head coach, every other NFL personnel guy. Lying. It is the season of lying. It's a week of lying leading up to the NFL draft. Nobody is telling you the truth, but you know what doesn't lie? A fart. A fart is right there. Yeah, you farted, and you have to own it.
Yeah. You have to. There's no dog there. There's no duck underneath your chair. You're owning that. And he did. He barely missed a beat. He apologized, kept going. That is weight. That is gravitas.
See, would that have come to light though? Because it's not a big one, but you can make it out. But it would have been like, did he fart or not? I think that was a fart. But the fact that he owned it,
it's fairly significant. Yes, the apology. I don't know that if he doesn't apologize, if he doesn't say excuse me, I don't know that. Listen closely. And you tell us.
We're not there yet. We still got a couple of days going through. Coach and I haven't sat down and gone through the final board yet.
Okay, like when you do a lie detector test, maybe that was the truth. Because, isn't the whole lie detector test danger is you're clinching? So, if he's telling, if he's lying, he's comfortable.
He is comfortable.
He's letting him rip. He's not lying.
He is comfortable.
Yeah, he's not lying.
That is some fantastic work by the Jags GM. Do we have 2 Take of the Year nominees in less than a half an hour?
This is fantastic.
I think Belky and I think Murillo are both. Give me a minute here, guys. I know you want your money back, and I know I drove this team into the Grand Canyon, but just give me a second. I'm going through some stuff. I hate the media. What a clown. Unbelievable.
I will say you are right about one thing. Indeed, you are 12.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw that Belky fair, I'm like, okay, we'll be talking about that in the 5 o'clock hour.
Yeah, I can be predictable at times.
But can you imagine, would Brandon... See, Bean is so buttoned up, he would never let one rip.
I think in that format, probably not.
No.
But I have a feeling behind closed doors, most dudes, let's face it.
Oh my gosh, Josh.
Most dudes hold you in high regard if you can pull off those kind of moves.
Yeah, Josh Allen in the locker room, he's letting him rip. Of course. He doesn't care.
Of course. He's probably, he probably knows the shout song. He could probably fart the shout song. All right, guys, we're going to figure out who's going to be captain of the Bills this upcoming season. We're going to have auditions. Who can come closest to farting? Hey! Wow, Josh, impressive. Put the C on your chest again. All right, we were late. We got to take a break. We got to come back with a round of shots next.
Yeah, that story was certainly a good one. We've got other stories. The Amerks, the Nighthawks, nothing to worry about, Nighthawk fans. Everything is fine. And this crazy story involving the Colorado Rockies under investigation by the FAA. What in the world is this about?
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Last call coming up as well. 585-866-4FAN if you want to get a shot in before we close up shop at 6. 866-4326.
You're listening to the Sports. Bills fans, Odyssey is your home for football. Stay up to date on everything Bills, no matter where you are, with the Odyssey app and the sports leader, The Fan, Rochester.
All right, we've got Amerks hockey coming up tonight on The Fan Rochester, 7 o'clock. Cleveland, the opponent at Blue Cross Arena. Did you say that we had, how many people in attendance tonight?
That would be 9,000. 9,000 tickets have been sold out as this morning, so the barn should have a great atmosphere. As we mentioned, Cleveland, the opponent, a win for the Amerks in regulation, and they're going to be guaranteed home ice. Either the first or second seed in the Eastern, make that the North Division, which would give them, again, home ice. Amerks tied right now with Syracuse in the standings for first. Now, the Crunch, they finish out with a home-and-home against Utica tonight and tomorrow, which means the Amerks get Utica on the back end of the 3-3 Sunday in Central New York, and we got the call tonight at 7 here on The Fan.
Looking forward to that.
Final weekend of the regular season for the Nighthawks. They play in Georgia tonight. They're back home against Philadelphia on Sunday. Now, the team is 6-10. There is a small chance he still can get into the postseason, but they're going to need a lot of help, and certainly they got to win both games. As we've been discussing here in the sports bar, you don't have to worry anything about the future. The team putting out a statement dismissing the speculation.
Okay, lots of speculation, and I think the speculation is probably somewhat warranted when you see what the actions of ownership lead you to believe that everything is on the table. When you're putting it out there that you want to get an investor 25% of the Buffalo Bills, yeah, you're looking for ways to generate revenue, and you can't dismiss the Bandits, the Nighthawks. You can't dismiss any of it.
Well, no. If somebody says they want it, okay, at what price? Now, the statement also reads that no other property is for sale. That's the statement today. It's fluid, as they say. And who is going to be this minority partner? Are they going to have some sort of voice? We don't know the minority partners around the NFL. We should kind of point that out. This is fairly common in the NFL that you're going to have. Heck, how many do they have? They have like 100. David Ross does down with the Dolphins. I mean, teams have minority partners, so this is just going to raise some quick cash.
Danny Wegman on line one. Terry, you got to take this call?
Will Galisano want part of that?
I don't know, man.
There's so many people in our town that have money that we don't know about. That's the best.
You're right. Golisano, man, for what it's worth, that guy, and we know it here locally, I forgot about how involved he is in children's hospitals in Florida. I was driving around Naples, and I see his name on everything.
Yeah, go to Syracuse. He's he does a lot. And we're grateful he's from our town. Couple big changes coming up in college football. Any other day, we're talking about this.
Yeah, right.
One in which it's going to they're going to make it look more like the pro game. Helmets now will have communication devices, and the rule will be exactly the same as the NFL. There will be one player in offense. Of course, it's going to be the quarterback, and one player in defense that will be given the green dot that will allow them to receive the radio communication. We are also going to have a 2-minute warning at the end of each half.
Great.
The 2-minute warning, they say, is not going to result in any additional TV timeouts.
Okay. What it'll result in is a stoppage, and they'll move things around, but they will find a way to get more out of that. There's another break in there somehow.
Yeah, and I'm all for making that kind of more like the pro game.
Yes, I am as well. I am not for prolong. I mean, college football games are long, man. They are long.
They need to look at other ways. I don't have 4 hours.
Yeah, and now you've got the 2-minute warning in there, which will make it longer. I'm not complaining about it. I like that it's going to be more like the pro game, but man, I wish they could tighten up the college presentation a little bit.
Finally, this is stupid, I may say, on so many levels. The Federal Aviation Administration and United Airlines, like they need any more bad press, are both investigating an incident involving the Colorado Rockies during a chartered flight from Denver to Toronto. So there was a video post, it's been deleted, and in it, Rockies hitting coach Hensley Mullins, the former Yankee, seen sitting in the pilot's seat in the cockpit while the plane is in flight.
Oh.
And in it, he writes, had some fun in the cockpit on our flight from Denver to Toronto. Thanks to the captain and the first officer of our United charter that allowed me this great experience.
Ooh, you can't do that? No, it's not good.
Is that wrong?
Huh?
United Airlines has since apologized. The FAA has opened up their investigation. The pilots in question are not going to be allowed to work until things are cleared up.
I always think that pilots, Gene, you might have a bad day. I might have a bad day. Pilots can't have a bad day.
No, they can't.
You're not allowed to have a bad day. You had a bad day if you thought it was a good idea. Nothing good ever happens when you hear the phrase in a since deleted tweet. The since deleted tweet or the since deleted update, always since deleted video, nothing good. Nothing good comes after that.
I would like to think that wasn't the first time this has happened in the history of the world, but for Hensley Mullins to put that out there, you moron.
Oh, why wouldn't he? He was very excited. Don't you get excited when something cool happens in your life? You got to share it with the world. Did it really happen? If you don't share it on social media, Gino, don't you know how this works?
Can I just say this? I maybe I have too much information, but if Hensley Mullins, if you put me in the cockpit while flying the plane and everything by myself, I'd be terrified.
Oh, no question.
I would be terrified.
I don't want that. I don't want that on me.
I would be absolutely sick to my stomach. I could not do that.
Right. And maybe there's more to this we don't know. Maybe Mullins is like studying to be a pilot or training to be a pilot. Don't know.
You can't do that though.
You still can't do it.
You can't do that. We're going to let a civilian in and fly the plane?
Can't have a bad day if you're a pilot.
Oh, wow.
Can't have a bad day if you're a pilot.
What was the exchange here? Hey, you want some tickets here to the Jays game tonight? Here you go, bud.
Why the hitting coach? Hey, Chris Bryant, come on over here. Take a cut at this, buddy. You want to try landing this bad boy? Let's go. Not great.
Not great. And then you want to talk about bad baseball too. Like the White Sox are terrible. They're 3-15. The Rockies are 4-15.
Yeah, not great at all. Last call next at 866-4326. We'll set you up for your sports weekend. 585-866-4FAN if you want to pull up a stool and join us.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Obviously, these games are as close to playoff hockey as you can get at this time of the year in the North Division against a really good team in Cleveland. So the pace and the intensity will be high, but this will be a good first test.
Amerks head coach Seth Appert, team taking the ice here just over an hour from now. Cleveland, the opponent, as he mentioned. You can hear the action on your proud home of Rochester Americans hockey. Here, the Fan Rochester, just after 7 o'clock with Don Stevens on the call.
Yeah, it's St. John Fisher lacrosse tomorrow as the women taking on Nazareth at 11, men taking on Sage at 2. So kind of our Saturday afternoon kind of laid out here in the Fan.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. We've got play-in tournament action in the NBA this weekend. We've got the Stanley Cup playoffs getting underway this weekend. We got the Sabres.
Yeah.
No, we don't have the Sabres. No. But we'll be back on Monday to react to all of it, and we will be just that much closer to the NFL draft on Thursday.
Best time of the year? One of them, yeah.
It's up there.
Yeah.
It's up there. It's a turning point for sure. We're looking forward to it. Now, when we're talking NFL draft, if you're out and about Thursday or Friday afternoon, join us as we take the show on the road. Day one of the NFL draft, our tradition has been Three Heads Brewing on Atlantic Avenue. We will be doing the show live from 3 until 6 at Three Heads in the neighborhood of the arts. We'll look for you there for day one of the NFL draft. Then a week from today, day two of the NFL draft, the show moves to Chili, and we'll be at the tap room at Bill Gray's Chili Ave location. Great prizes there. Doing the show live from 3 until 6. If you're a regular of the sports bar, you know the deal. We would love to see you.
We can share a cold one and maybe a win or two.
That's next week as the NFL draft is just days away.
Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic week next week. So hopefully you can make plans either Thursday or Friday or maybe even both to join us.
Thanks to Todd Walsh, Matty Glab, a couple of great conversations earlier today. And if you missed either of them, find them in the free-to-download Odyssey app. JR Sport Brief next on The Fan.
You're listening to the Sports Bar.